So in order to help the gouge, it's usually a good idea to take a little chamfer, I guess, or draw the end of the cane slightly, and this helps the blade a lot, so it doesn't dig in, and it works. This works well with most gougers, actually. So the way the machine works, as you can see, it's a relatively decent chip. It tends to gouge more on one side, as you can see in here. I don't know if you can see that very well, and that's why it's a double radius machine. As you can see, the gouge area is right in here, and it tends to gouge more to one side, to this side, yeah. And whereas this side, you can see, hasn't been touched. So you do have to flip it over every 4 or 5. What this does is it gives you a very different gouge than a single radius machine. And let's see if you can see if that's working. Yeah, see, so now we're gouging more to this side, and we have to flip it to gouge this side. So let's do that. Every 4 or 5. And that's pretty much bottomed out, and I'll flip it one more time, and we should have our piece. It did soak the cane, but it could probably stand to be soaked a little more. And like I've said in other tutorials, it's a good idea to have the cane about 8 millimeters wide. You don't want it more width than that, because you start to get into trouble. So now the gouge, we'll measure it. It may be hard for you to see this tiny machine, this tiny micrometer, but it's a little under 60. It could stand to be a little thicker, and the side, it goes down rather quickly, yeah, from the center. Goes down to, and within about a millimeter, goes down to about 50, and then after that, it runs off to, I don't know, 35 at the very side here, but right where the shape is, it's about 45. And that curve is gives the reed more strength, and that the opening doesn't collapse like it does with a single radius machine more often than not. Let me try another piece, and I'll show you how when you're gouging you can adjust the height on the fly, as I've said. This is quite a beautiful machine. It works really, really well, and you never have to worry, because if there's any updates that are required, or any maintenance of the machine due to the manufacturing, or any issues that need to be dealt with, I mean, you'll get your machine back in a week. If you send it to me, it'll be repaired, and you'll get it back in a week. As you can see, it gouges very nicely. These chips are, I don't know, let's measure one of them. They may be a little heavy. They could stand to be a little lighter, but I think it's working out fine. So this chip is about, no, that chip is about 0.04 of a millimeter. I mean, you're really not going to get much better than that. That's really, really a good chip for a gouge. All right. Typically, anything under 0.05 of a millimeter is an ideal chip for a gouging machine. You can go as high as 6 or 7, though, and that's okay. But if you get up to 0.1 of a millimeter, it's too thick. As you can see, the machine works, it gouges exceptionally well. There are no issues with it. It's very easy. As you can see, I'm applying no pressure. And okay, so now we want to, I don't want to forget this, we want to make it a little thicker, right? So we're going to turn this about half a turn, like so. Yeah, I don't know, is that a quarter turn maybe? About a quarter turn. And we'll see if that gives us a different result in the thickness, and about how much. So a quarter turn, I don't know, maybe that will be 1/100 of a millimeter perhaps. It's very accurate though. It's and it's very simple, as you can see. You just need an Allen wrench to lock it. When you get it to where you want it to be, you can lock it so it doesn't move. But I like to be a little more fluid when gouging, so it's kind of nice to have that ability to change the height on the fly, and you don't have to you know, stop the machine and loosen bolts and get screwdrivers and Allen wrenches and turn things. You don't have to do that. You just do it on the fly. It's very simple. So this, yeah, I turned a quarter of a turn and it went up 4/100ths of a millimeter. So as you can see, it's about, I don't know, can you see that? It's really, really small. I should probably use a bigger micrometer. It's about 64 in the middle, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this back a little bit. Yeah, not too much, just a little bit. And we'll see if we can take it some more off. As you can see, it took a dusting, right? I don't know if you saw that, but it was very slight dusting it removed. There, you see that? Very slight. Of course, that's usually enough, right? It doesn't take a lot, these machines. So yeah, that took off about 2/100ths of a millimeter. So I want to, I don't know if you can see that 62. It's probably difficult to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it back slightly, even more, and see if we can't take off another 2/100ths of a millimeter. Ooh, that took off a little bit more than that. Let's see. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, that's not bad. That's a dusting, right? So let's see what we have. So now we're measuring the center, and we've got about, I got about 61. Yeah, so as you can see, a quarter turn is about 1 to 2/100ths of a millimeter. And we've got, what is it, 35 there, but right at the shape, it's about 45, 46, 45. Yeah, and that's where I like it to be. Okay, so sensational machine, really, probably one of the best on the market. Worth every penny. There's a lot of design, it took 6 months for me to figure this thing out and to really get it working with the manufacturer to get it right. And that is a strong, as you can see, I'm folding it over, and that is a strong gouge. You see how it's holding there? It's not collapsing. I have to squeeze here, and it's not scored. I don't score. I never score because I like to feel how strong the gouge is when I fold it. And you can see that that is a strong gouge, right? But the beauty of it is incredibly vibrant, beautiful sound, and everything is at the tip. Now here are the chips, right? Nice fine chips. Yeah, it's a very fine gouging machine. It's highly refined. It's easily adjustable. It's really aesthetically beautiful, and it's also easy to use. I think it's just terrific. I'm really excited about it. And your reed making is just going to go through the roof. So let me make a reed. I'll tie a reed and shape it, and then I'll tune you in, and we'll play the reed, and you'll get to see how great it sounds.